Welcome back everybody to Official JPEG. This is Jessie and today I'm here to just play games. So jumping back into our Desert Botanical Garden, I wanted you guys to just come along. If you saw my speed build video, you'll see that I worked on this little eating area, but I did want to add a couple more things. I didn't like that there wasn't a backdrop, so I'm getting right into that. I went ahead and duplicated this wall so that I could have the same colors and things of that sort, and it took a little bit to color match. You'll see later in the video I go back and edit this because I thought I had the right color, but it just didn't look right, so I ended up changing all of them. But I did go ahead and I tried to duplicate the curve of the building. It did take a little bit of finagling with these columns to make sure that I got a rounded edge and kind of covered the space where some of it didn't really line up. And ultimately, I don't care what the back of it looks like because the customers aren't going to see that, but I wanted it to look still good in my eyes, and like here I had to add like 2 columns to try my best to get these to line up with the curvature, but that's where you can really see the color difference. And I did copy paste the color code, but it still didn't quite match up. I'm still not sure if maybe I did it wrong, but because the color numbers were the same, but it was a little difficult, so I'll admit to not being the best at that. But again, I'm pretty happy with the way that the back wall looked. We may add some more decorations later on. And a roof, I don't think I added a roof yet, but for now we're gonna go ahead and stick with this ultimate curve here. So go ahead and enjoy the build a little bit so that you can see the plants and stuff that I add to make it look a little bit more put together. And I do ultimately like what I came up with. I went ahead and decided the first thing I was going to do was change the pathing to match the main path of the area, and this is just to make it feel a little bit more collective as a build. And I did add a pathed area by the bathroom that I'm going to add an ATM and maybe some vending machines or maybe some seating. I'm not quite sure, maybe benches, but for now I just wanted a cohesive plan that looked like it went together. But picking out the nature scene or the plants around it was kind of hard. I at first was going to go with the fountain bamboo, which is what you see here, but I ended up realizing it doesn't really go with the desert scene. I was like really into the foliage. At first I was like, oh my gosh, these will look gorgeous, but then I was like, oh my god, this is a desert build. So the flowers I'm putting here, I think I end up removing and going back with the cacti theme of the rest of the build. So I chose these little cute little cactuses and some palm trees. I think I went with some date palms as well. Yeah, you'll see them here. I like the date palms. They're cute. They don't look a lot like the ones in the area that I live in. The ones that are by me have these huge like beads of not really dates but like seeds that you'd think that they'd be dates, but they're not. They're actually toxic to pets too, so a lot of times you're telling people like clean them up, which I really should, but thankfully, you know, my dogs are all indoor. But I do like the area that I came up with here. I like the desert vibe, and again, trying my best to add in more rocks than I think I need, just to kind of add some good focal spots and some difference in height. And then going back in with the dead grass, I do not want to use the green grass, I want to use the dead grass. So mostly to make it a little bit more realistic. Because I just feel like if I get a little bit too crazy with plants that don't seem like they fit in with the biome, I feel like it'll take away from the build. I like these Sahara rocks, or the red desert rocks, sorry. I like the red of them. They really remind me of Sedona. I don't know if anybody knows where Sedona is, but it's beautiful there. They have these like red rocks, and they always make these really cool like red clay shirts there. But look at these cute little pink tassel things. I don't know why, but the minute I put them there, it was a vibe. It really gave me like a pop of color that I didn't know I needed to this build. But you guys, this turned out stunning. Like when you look at this, the pink, I don't know why, I love it. I was really happy with this build as it put together, but let's jump right in. I decided to redo some of the barriers to this enclosure. mostly because I was really happy with how these looked in my Atlas Zoo. So if you guys haven't checked out my Atlas Zoo, I highly recommend it. I did a lot of custom fencing and it was so pretty that I knew I had to bring it over here. Some of the guest reviews for this habitat said that, you know, when it's like, I guess the view of the capybara is fine. So I knew that we would have to add some more windows to this, and I decided to take it all the way up to the restaurant. And in doing so, it was a little difficult to maintain the height, and I loved that the kids were right there to make sure that they could see too. So I was very thankful for their convenient placement at that time to make sure they can see too. I don't want to take away. I feel like kids love the zoo. I know mine do. But I ended up pulling it onto the path almost, just to make sure. I know a couple of people might clip in this, like if you look that lady and her kid, well, like literally, and the kid is like right there clipping through her. Just might clip through this a little bit, but I don't think it'll be a big deal in the end. And I liked how it finished on this rock, and I ended up raising that rock a little bit, or I guess I added one, but I raised that rock a little bit, and I'm gonna make that the education center for this particular habitat. I'm gonna add my signs there. I can't decide, I don't think I did it in this video, but it'll probably be in next video, but I can't decide if I'm going to make this education center here similar to my African dogs one, where I built like that wooden feature, had a plaster wall, and then added to that. But let's jump right in. I need to move my aardvarks. They are way too shy and they need a new home because they hate being seen. They are constantly unhappy and I have to box them up, just like my other habitat in Atlas Zoo as well. They're just really shy, and it's something I didn't realize when I put them here. So right now I went ahead and boxed them up, and we're just going to move everything to the side. My plan here is to add a new area that will lead not only to the welcome center, but it will be a new plaza that leads upward into a stair for a second level, and I'm very excited with how this ultimately ended up. But let's jump in. I'm going to show you guys where I placed the aardvarks. Now, across from my capybara, I had this great area here, and I realized that it would only need maybe a single wall of viewing, and it would give me a good opportunity to make an actual hut in the habitat for them, to give them a little bit of privacy. So we're gonna speed things up and we'll talk as we go. All right, so the hut I made was pretty standard, a welcome in door that I would put the habitat entrance for the zoo staff, and it would have a one-way viewing window for the guests. But I was happy with this. It ended up bugging out a little bit when I placed them in here, and it said that they could only walk in like part of the habitat. So I ended up having to do some more smoothing to the ground so that they could walk, but I love this custom fence, you guys. When I first placed it, I didn't realize how high it was, so ultimately I ended up shortening it, but I was just so happy with it. I think it looks so cute. I love that I used little decorations there. I thought about lining it with the pots because I did a couple of experiments with that, but this pole, I know it's meant for like the shade structure, but when you turn it around, you don't even see it. But this turned out stunning, and I just love it. I'm like fangirling over my own creation over here, but it looks really good. I did end up placing some rock work in part of it, just so it wasn't right there in your face. You know, I didn't like how unleveled it looked. But after I decided to put some rock there, I did realize that it would be cool to extend the path for some viewing area. And taking a peek at what I did with the rock work here, you'll see that I extended the path towards the restaurant area to give the guests a view from when they're eating. And the path I went with was really square, but I was able to pre-decorate with some of the plants that I put aside. But you'll see that there's only a limited view area here. And again, all of them are one-way glass, and it is just to provide the privacy because they are sensitive little creatures. I was pretty happy with the back rock work, and then I know there's a plaster wall, but it will be hidden with a lot of the foliage that I'll be putting in. Now, I went a little crazy with the bushes here, but I was still able to keep it in their coverage range. But I do feel like it really blends in and makes the habitat seem more natural for the aardvarks. But I was able to play around with all of this different types of grassing and stuff and get a good amount in there so that they still can walk, and the size requirements are still the same, but it looks good. And of course, as always, we're gonna add in a ton of rock work. Now, after adding in all of the rock work and finishing up just some minor details with the plants and all of the enrichment items, I do feel like the aardvarks were absolutely happy with this build, as was I. I really liked it. I do feel like it adds more view for the people to come and see everything, and it brings them further into the park, because ultimately I think I'll be adding on to this little aardvark path here and maybe going behind it. But you'll see I dropped it down a little bit. Thankfully a child showed up so I could see the child height to make sure it all lined up. But I was able to put my TVs out, or what are these called? Not TVs, those like education centers, make sure everybody knew what was in there. And then made sure to put like my little photo vista area so that everybody could see what's going on. And I like these little like the paw and the kid education stations, because I do feel like they bring out like more people this direction. And I've learned that throwing the range of these education speakers helps a lot, and I haven't had a complaint from an animal yet. Let me know in the comments if you guys have, because I may change things up if that's a thing. Now, I was a little worried about this roof height, you guys, but after smoothing things out and pushing the terrain down, it looked really good and it worked well. But give me some feedback. Tell me how you guys feel about the aardvark enclosure, and tell me what animals you want to see next. Now, unfortunately, in the middle of this, I found out that my capybaras and the peccary things were really feeling crowded, so I did end up releasing some of them to the wild. I decided not to sell them because my zoo was making good money, but it did help. Now, that just needed a minute or two to kind of get used to it, but they ended up getting back to normal, and so I was happy with that decision. Okay, you guys, I'm super excited about this next part, so let's jump in. I am creating a space here for more kind of a sitting area to view my favorite little tortoise habitat, but I am going to be adding an entire pathway above the African dogs that will be leading over here to a stairway above everything. So this is the biggest, I really had to play around with this idea. It was an idea I had earlier on in the build, but I think it ended up looking okay, and so I really liked it. So this is kind of the basic layout I have right now, and again, it'll curve upwards into this area over here, and it took forever to make sure that it wasn't in the area that would make them like negative, but I was really happy. It gave me a lot of space to work with, and I did turn this into a small enclosure as well. So let me just speed up a little bit here so you don't have to see me mess around with the plants, but let's jump in. Now, I started with 2 enclosures, and these aren't, I think they are on the same grid actually, but I didn't accommodate for the grid that I wanted it to be on. And what I mean by that is I wanted it to be pretty easy to connect to the building, so I did have to go and make some minor adjustments later on, but I still am very happy with how this looked in the end. But for right now, I don't know what I ended up putting in here. I do think that I just had some exhibit animals in my zoo, and so they may be repeats, but it looked so good. You guys, I cannot stress enough. I think that I put some real effort into here, and I just can't wait to show you guys what this little tunnel looks like. So let's jump ahead. Guys, look at this. I cannot believe that I built this. It took so long to think this through, but it looked stunning. Now, I was thinking of putting benches, so I did have to go in and change this angle up a little bit to make some custom benches that went with the build. So here you'll see that I am trying to see if maybe they would look good on the side, but I didn't like it. So finagling this little thing here took a little bit because they're all individual pieces. I wish I had figured out how to put them in a group, but I just think the size of it made it really difficult for me. And so I'd rather just go in and click them and then just angle them out a little bit more. And it still looked so good. I wanted it to cover the railing a little bit. I do think it ended up covering most of it, but I was still really, really happy with this. I just sound like a fangirl, but I really am just, this might be one of my best builds I've ever done, ever. And I really hope you guys like it too. Give me some feedback, what you want to see, things that you think would look good here. Give me all of the feedback because I want to see it. So let me show you guys the little custom benches I did because I'm very happy with them. I went ahead and used the African posts. I really like the striping. I like that it fits snugly with the little lamps that I put under it, and it just fit the overall vibe of the Desert Botanical Zoo, in my opinion. Now, I'm not quite happy that the railing is right there, but I still think that overall this build is so pretty. Alright, so I went ahead and I decided we are going to do a little entry sign to the zoo. And my biggest mistake here, again, was not doing any of this on the grid. On the same grid, at least. So I did have to do a little bit of finagling. I know that's one of my favorite words, so you're going to hear it 100 times. But it is one of those things that I just really, really tried to focus on, was making an entryway that just popped. Now, after finding this piece that kind of looks like more of a jungle indigenous tribe, I really just was kind of bummed that they don't have a lot of Native American stuff, but I still think that this gave the vibe that I was wanting for the Desert Zoo. But let's go ahead and jump into kind of where I decided to go with this. Now, I realized that we needed a centerpiece, and to do so, I'd have to remove all of those wood pieces that I worked so hard to put in. But after removing them and picking out what I thought was the perfect centerpiece, I am just amazed with how good this looks. Now, I went ahead and paused on the final version. Yes, you can see my little protester there. It was about the African dogs. I had to change up their enclosure and they left, but I just can't get over this. I think it's perfect, and I cannot wait to share more in the next episode of how we're gonna make this even more stunning. So let's jump right back in to the final builds of this episode today. A lot of the final build was just finalizing the stairway and all of the nature that we're going to be putting in, and it can seem like a lot, but I still think that in the end it needed it. I feel like a lot of this zoo doesn't have a lot of foliage, and maybe that's because there's not a lot of desert plants that look really, really good. But again, we're really just focusing on finishing up those little details here. I've never thought to use the gate pieces like this, and I was really happy with how it turned out. Even just like the little detail, I really feel like it looked really good in the place that I put it. I did end up adding a couple of the African decor pieces to underneath this bridge as well, and I do feel like that really tied together the build. So, because it tied together the build, I put it absolutely everywhere. I did another custom fence here and lined the entire pathway with it, and I am super excited with how these details looked. I just feel like it really ties together a different type of Desert Botanical Zoo that I wasn't expecting. I didn't think that I would go this direction with the decor pieces, but I really liked it. This little custom fence was probably the favorite one I've ever made, and I don't know why those people were glitched right there. I don't know if they're stuck or not. They ended up disappearing, but I just feel like this really finalized the vision that I was having for the zoo. Let me know in the comments how you guys feel about it. Adding in all of this detail made me realize there was an area I hadn't added a lot of detail to, and that was the education center over my tortoise enclosure. Not only was everybody getting hot all the time and this added a little bit of shade, but I do feel like adding this structure did help overall with making things look better. And you'll see that I realized that this is like the dumbest idea I ever had because it blocks everything, and I was like, oh, well, gotta change that up. But I thought it was funny to include in the video because I didn't think that through. So I fixed it, and after fixing it, I was really happy with it, loved the shade structure, so I copied it and moved it to my new little area behind there. And these shade structures, you guys, I loved them. So I'm gonna jump ahead and show you guys what I did because I think it's stunning. It took so long for me to get this to work out, and it may not be perfect. I mean, there's some areas where it's a little larger of a gap than other places, but I decided to customize the little shade area that they gave like the shade sail and then move it down to look like they were hanging, and I really liked it. I thought it was really pretty. I was looking for like the thinner ones. If you guys know what that one's called, let me know. Maybe I just haven't researched it to unlock that item, but if you guys know what I'm talking about, let me know in the comments below, because I still would love to put that one here. But this whole seating area really came together, and after I add some plant life on the left of the screen, you'll see that it looks really finished, finalized, and everybody just loved it. All of the comments were saying that the zoo is really decorated, and that made me feel happy. Now, unfortunately, it looks like I didn't record the putting in of all the plant life to the side here, so I do think we're gonna end this episode here with just me putting in those custom fences at the edge, and I will just have to give you guys a little tour of the zoo once we have all the nature in. So apologies if you wanted to see it, but I'm still getting used to this entire recording process, so I'm not perfect, and well, I don't want to lie to you about it. So yep, just looks like I didn't record it, or maybe when I exited out of my recording software I did it wrong. I've done that before too. So alrighty, you guys, have a wonderful rest of your day, and if you made it this far, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and as always, you guys are all important. Toodles. Well, guess what? I lied. So I went ahead and went back into my game to record an entire tour of the zoo. So stick around and join me for a 3-minute long tour. And I have no idea what I'm doing, so stick with me, okay? I'm also really bad at, but we'll try. So I know that I've walked you guys through a lot of this before, but I just wanted to show you just in case you missed it. I went ahead and made an extra large enclosure over here just to kind of add a little bit more depth and realism to the kiddos in here. So we have 2 of them, and then I went ahead and they have their own advertisement. Look at all these people waiting in line for the restaurant. That makes me so happy, but that might mean I need to add more tables. Okay, let's go over to the new aardvark enclosure. I knew I wasn't going to do a full walkthrough, so I'll try to make this quick. I just know that there's a lot that I missed when I didn't quite record. So the view is great, honestly, and the aardvarks are in a fantastic mood all the time. They are not as shy as they used to be, and you can still kind of get a view of them. Okay, then down here we have this 2 very uneven screens I will eventually be adding to. Right, so here is the finished area, okay? So I recorded up to placing all of those fences there, but I didn't show you guys the final view. Now, another potential habitat on this side, but I do think the foliage really added to this. But let's go in. Yep, but we'll go look in here. So a lot of people actually enjoy the view of the wild dogs on this side. Everybody just looks like they're hot. Yeah, they're just all hot. But I am just really happy with the way that this all looks. I did end up adding an enclosure animal there, and we'll probably add an info stand at this side at one point, but look at this view. Okay. It's probably not the most professional view, but I do feel like the walkthrough of the park makes a little bit more sense. You can see almost all the way to the entryway. And just look at that 2nd story build right there. I am just so happy with this. I just think the zoo is coming together, you guys. Alright, I'm really glad that I was able to at least record it to show you guys, and you'll see I still don't have a roof on that because I'm a great builder, but I like the cherry tree. I went ahead and added that last minute, and I love the natural roof on this area. But if you look here, I've also added a tunnel. I don't know if I even showed this off in any of my builds yet, and I feel horrible. I couldn't find the footage right away. But this little tunnel here might be one of my favorites. And I think I might add a cooler to it at one point. That education sign's not on, but let's jump in here. So this is a cute little area I have too. Sorry if I have showed this and you're like, you're showing us already. But I just think it ended up looking really cool, you guys. So I feel like our zoo is coming together.